Hello, and welcome to the Believe Show. Today, I'm thrilled that we're here today with Ming Tan. Hello, Ming. Hi.
Hello, Sanya. Good to see you.
So good to see you. Before I tell you a little bit about Ming's work background, I'm just going to tell you that I've known Ming for years, and in conversations with Ming, I've taken on a lot of things that I've used as a coach and as a human being. So I'm extremely glad you're here. Hello.
Hi.
So let me tell you a few things about Ming. This is Ming's website, which is at thirdthinking.com. Ming is an executive coach and author. She's the founder of Happier Lab in Taiwan. She's based in Taiwan. Ming is the CEO of Third Thinking, which is what you see here. She works with clients all over the world, and she has developed a positive psychology approach for executives to flourish at work and in life. And so I'm thrilled that we're talking with her about that. And one thing that she and I spoke about even before the show is a little bit of talking about design your life, a personal retreat approach. Hi.
Hi.
When you think about designing your life, especially with executives that you work with, what does that mean?
That's interesting. If you ask me about, say, 10 years ago, I didn't really believe in the approach I didn't believe that we could actually design the life we want, that we can aspire to live the way we want to live. Prior to positive psychology, my approach was very much about removing what's wrong with life or avoiding what the negative adversity in life, and that's already bliss. Right?
So get rid of the bad and it's already amazing.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So my idea of a good life was really just no sadness, no adversity, no accidents, nothing. Then zero to me then was good,
Uh-huh.
right? It was only through positive psychology that I realized that only gets us to zero, right? And then there is the other aspect of life, and that's where it's fun, it's interesting, it's exciting. All those, the dreams, the ideals. And it was then that I realized that, what is the meaning of design? What's the meaning of create? And we can actually create the life that we want to live. So that's really the before and after of my map studies.
Yeah. Ming before and Ming after. It sounds like when you believe this and you're teaching it to other about designing their lives. Yeah.
The other thing, Senya, I might add is that 10 years ago, it was this theoretical belief, like we study, we have the theories and everything. It's kind of like we believe in the theory, but it's more important actually to couple it with practice. So when you applied all these things in life, and now 10, no, I graduated in 2007, right? So I have years of practice myself and also with the clients that I work with. And now I'm even more firm in my belief that we can design, we can create the life that we want to live.
I love that you're saying that, and I feel similarly to you that it's wonderful to take on deep theoretical ideas, whether through books or TED Talks or other ways, but if we're not practicing something, it doesn't become part of us.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you work with executives, how does that practice happen? How do you go from just teaching an idea to actually them feeling it granularly and doing it again and again?
Yeah. Of course, I did a lot in terms of teaching positive psychology to leaders, how it's applied to their leadership, and give speeches. But recently, in the last 18 months, I've tried an approach, And I think that is so powerful. And that's the reason why I really want to share with you and to all our audience here. Most people come to me, I would say only a quarter come to me with the idea that I want to find new direction in my life. So they already have this positive goal, I want something. But most of them come to me still in a stage of, I don't know, I'm stuck, or my boss thinks I'm stuck. But they couch in a very nice way. So majority of them come to me with less clear in terms of what they want to do.
So
And
just to clarify, you're saying about 3/4 of the people that you start to work with, it's fairly vague what it is specifically that they might want to change, and maybe a quarter come with, I want this new direction. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, very helpful.
Yeah. And so I found that when with people who are less clear, there are obviously some areas that's not working well or not as moving as fast as they would like to be. So using the PERMA approach, I'm sure you're familiar with it, but using the PERMA approach to help these individuals reflect and figure out their life. And I found that so powerful. But the challenge I had in a normal executive coaching is that, you have a very limited time. You have like 1 hour or at most 2 hours a session, right? And so while I can tackle bit by bit, it's so much more powerful when I have 2 days with my client.
So completely different framework. You're going from meeting with the client, let's say 1 hour weekly or 1 hour every 2 weeks, to let's take 2 days together. Let's go in deep.
Yes.
And that's the personal retreat approach that you're describing.
Yes. The personal retreat approach. Can I share with you what it is?
We'd love it. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. What I do is I want to get them out of their office, right? Out of what they are comfortable with. So first of all, even without this personal retreat approach, I don't meet my clients in their office. Okay.
Where do you meet them?
They come, well, when we can do face-to-face, they come to my office, or I might go on a walk in the park with them. Okay, I want them to get out of whatever. And now with this personal approach, I have 2 homes. One of my homes is in the countryside in a least developed county in Taiwan called Taitung. So my home is in this area. If I look east, it's the Pacific Ocean, right? And in fact, I checked the map this morning. If I look east and go all the way, I will reach the west coast of the US and somewhere around San Francisco.
So pretty close to me. So really, we're directly connected through your window too. I love it.
And if I look west, we have the Stulan mountain range. So this is an area where there's no industry. It has pristine nature. It's big sky. I see shooting stars in the evening. I would see the sun rises from the Pacific horizon. And in the evening, once a month, I see the moon rises from the Pacific Ocean as well. It's like an egg yolk, popping up from the horizon. I came here about 10 years ago, not long after my positive psychology degree at MAP, at UPenn. So at that time, I was looking to design my life. I was looking for a place where I can live the life I want to live. And so I get so many inspirations in this place. And that's the reason why the idea of a personal retreat in Taitung took shape. I got inspired and I wanted to share that inspiration with my clients. So I designed this, which is a 2-day approach. They come here, they stay with me, and I mentioned so much about the nature and all that, but I think it's so important, nature, because I not only work with them, but I create the environment where they get the inspiration. They work in the garden with me, dig out my most recent harvest is turmeric. So I teach them how to make turmeric latte using cashew nuts, right? And
Awesome.
so we would do this. We would go on forest walk, and so we forage the vegetable and all that, and then we cook dinner together. So I wanted them to have an inspiration about what kind of lifestyle they want to live, not just their professional career, because it's really about integrating that you in a workspace, in a life space,
Mhm.
right? So that really was how the idea started.
So they come to your home, they do the walking with looking at the mountain and the sky. They do the gardening and then cooking with that, which sounds amazing. And at the same time, you're talking through their whole life, not just their work, but their
Yes.
whole life.
So I use the PERMA approach.
Could you summarize
So
for people who may not know it? Could
yeah,
you summarize it?
exactly. PERMA, they stand for P for positive emotions, E for engagement. That means something that really engages you. R, the real, authentic connection, relationships that you have. M, meaning, something purpose, about purpose and meaning in your life. And A stands for accomplishment or a sense of achievement. So this is a PERMA flourishing approach, how you flourish in life. You can use this 5 pathways to evaluate your life. So I use this approach with my clients. And the wonderful thing about when you have 2 days with it is, first thing, I ask my client to give a score, right? So what is the level of positive emotions that you experience in your life from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, the maximum. So they go through the scores, and then it's up to the client and which pathway resonate with them first.
Ah.
Yeah, and most people would tend to go on the lower score.
Oh,
Right?
that's interesting. So you've done this evaluation with them. Where are you, 1 to 10 on each of them?
Yeah.
Let's say they have 4 8s and they have 1 5. They will say,
Yeah.
I'm interested
Oh,
in
I
talking
want to
about
look at a 5, you know? Yeah. But then we just go through each one, right? And maybe one would take 2 hours or half a day, but that obviously is something that really important to the client. And so, for example, I recently had a client. She's doing really well career-wise. She's number 2 in the company. She's been there 20 years, doing different jobs, and she hit 50. Okay. And she said, I have a good job. I can almost do it with my eyes closed because I have a great team. I have credibility in the company, great benefit and salary. And she was wondering, is this my next 10 years? I can dine, I can holiday, and I have a job that I can do well. There's something, there's a discomfort in her comfort.
And Ming, which one is that? Is that more meaning or is that more accomplishment? Which of the PERMA?
So for her, that was she signed up with me to say, I want to explore my next 10 years, right? When she did this, in her ranking, it was actually meaning and accomplishment scores that were low for her. So we started to look at it, and bit by bit, it became very clear. Sense of accomplishment is really important. When I asked her about positive emotions, she didn't have that many positive emotions. All she could say is, I felt great when we accomplished this impossible feat.
Almost like the P feeds the A, the positive emotion feeds the accomplishment.
Yes, it's the E and A, that feeds the P. so I have to help her dissect positive emotions. What are they? What do you really enjoy doing? What were the joy? What were the happiness? All those things. And so for her, everything was round up in sense of accomplishment.
Ming, I also think this is so interesting because you've just described this executive as number 2 in her company.
Yeah.
So you would think from an external point of view, and by reading this person's bio, you would say, oh, super accomplished. But
Right.
herself, she said, oh, no, meaning and accomplishment are not so high in my life.
Yes. And so one thing about using the PERMA model is, my recommendation is not to go bit like P and then E and R and M and A, not that chronological, what do we call it, approach, but it really go with where the client feels they want to discuss. From there, you can see that we might be talking about meaning, but it's linked to accomplishment, it's linked to her engagement level, the kind of work that she found really engaging.
And so where did this go after this discussion, which sounds like it just made her look at her work and life quite differently? Where did that go as a result of the 2-day retreat?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. It's amazing. At the end of the 2 days, she knew exactly where in life, for the P's, the positive emotions, what are the things that she does for joy, for pure fun? And she said, I love playing golf. Okay, so that's an important factor. And she has 3 dogs. So those are the things that give her spontaneous joy. And she loves cooking, taking cooking lessons. So that's also engaging her for the pure flow
Yeah.
outside of work.
Engagement. Yes.
But most important thing was that she figured out, because her company had been trying to get her to move from Taiwan to China. And the last few years, she's been doing projects in China. And in fact, a lot of her sense of accomplishment came from these projects in China.
Ah, I see.
But she didn't want to move to China. She said, for all these lifestyle, whatever. And she realizes that the projects in China is what feed her sense of accomplishment, her meaning for herself as well. I'll come back to meaning, ask me, because there's another point that was really interesting. And so she then became kind of like, she suddenly realized that I know where I need to focus on to get my sense of achievements. But at the same time, I can also design my lifestyle based on what I enjoy, based on what I value. And she said, fine, now I'm going to be more at ease, more in tune with the work that's given my way, coming my way from China. Yeah. And then she had this split personality again. And she's like, she goes to China and it's all work, 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 work. And her lifestyle was back in Taiwan. And so it's still not really integrating.
Right.
So then I had to work with her on how do you actually create some of this lifestyle joy while you're in China,
Right.
and
Right.
not just, split based on China work, Taiwan life.
Right. So you had said golf, her dogs, cooking, those bring her joy. So did she find a way to do it?
Yes. And so she had clarity of that. And so we said, all right, that's great. She walked away knowing that I now feel like my next 10 years will still be very fulfilling, challenging, because I know where to build all these building blocks.
Yeah.
And after 2 days, what I do is I have a monthly catch-up call, right? Action support. And then the first one the first session we had, she said, guess what? My boss said, I cannot just take on China projects. They want me to move there.
Okay.
Okay. So, then we work on that. And she said, actually, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't need to just figure out a few things, but I'm ready. I know how to build a life and not just a work career when I moved to Shanghai.
So she was able to take her dogs.
We had to figure that out as well.
It just seems that that's 1/3 of what's bringing you a lot of positive emotions, and you have to change that would be hard.
Exactly. So we had to figure out what to do with those. And there are some challenges in terms of quarantine and all that and how to deal with it. Yeah.
What was the detail that you asked me to come back and talk about meaning?
Meaning. Yeah. Meaning, as you know, comes from not just interests that serve our self-interest. Normally, it's something that you need to connect with the bigger self or the community. And for her, the meaning when in China is actually she can pass on so much of her experience to the new generation of leaders in China. Right? She didn't see that. She only saw that as, okay, I need sense of accomplishment to feed my need. So all these projects are projects, for her own benefit.
Yeah.
But then when we explore that meaning is also important to her, how can she create meaning in what she's doing? Right? And so this was what she came out with.
Yeah. She sounds like she's in a generative part of her life where she wants to contribute, not just to what she's doing with actual tangible outcomes, but also how can I mentor people? How can I raise other people up?
Yeah. So this is just one example, but this is remember I said 25% of people or come with a clear goal. She's one of those. They say, I want to figure out my next 10 years.
Yeah.
At least have a direction.
And it also sounds like, Ming, you had these 2 days together and you prepped her. I'll just put this up again, but you prepped her on her own views and what's important for her on each of these PERMA items. And then when her boss told her, we actually want you to move to China, it seems like she was ready. Yes, like you said, there are things to do, but because of the work that you two did together, she was in a space that she could tackle it without, work. Yeah.
Yes. So that's a great example of someone who wants to plan their life. But the others that if I can share another client.
Would love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Another client is really interesting. She is a partner in an accounting firm. And she's a bit burnt out, and that's why the company says, hey, why don't you engage an executive coach and talk to her? So I really had to convince her to give herself 2 days with me. Busy executives, right? They say, can't we do it in Taipei quickly and sort it out? So she came. Um, it was again very interesting. When you talk about positive emotions, she couldn't identify any.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I'll put this up
But
again.
she had a lot of stress.
Mhm.
Okay. What is most interesting for this executive is that she is a really caring leader. She cares a lot about her team feeling stress. Accounting firm,
Mhm.
year-end closing, they have 2 months of just like overwork the whole time. And and the seriousness of her situation is that they have high attrition rate,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? The newcomers, they joined the firm for at most 2 years, and then very few would stay beyond 3 years.
Mhm.
So they have this musical chair, and which is a real issue.
Absolutely.
For her, it was just like, I'm trying my best to reduce their stress, I take on more work so that they don't have to work overtime. No wonder she's so
Of
stressed.
course. Yeah.
So help her realize that she was doing the deficit approach, reducing all the deficit, right? Trying to reduce the stress, trying to take on more work herself so that her team would not feel as stressed. But do you think that strategy really worked? No.
What did you do in place of it?
So by sharing the PERMA approach with her, help her realize that what people really look for,
Mhm.
what her team really look for,
Mhm.
right? They need sense of accomplishment. They need to feel connected with her. They need to have something to engage their strength. So it's not just working hard, but it's helping to link working hard with the strengths that they are building.
I think I see what you're saying. So you're saying she used to do, it's not even on this the banner. She used to do, there's stress, there's burnout, there's attrition. I'm going to try to get rid of all of that, get rid of
Mhm.
stress. And I think what you're saying is now she works with the people who are on her team and she says what she explores what their positive emotions, engagement, meaning, important relations, meaning, and accomplishments are, so she can build those for them.
So, of course, I worked the PERMA model with her
Of
first.
course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And helping her to, what gives you joy?
Yeah.
What activities do you most engage in at work? Right? All those things I go through the PERMA approach with her. And she had that insight. And suddenly, you can see her posture, how it's kind of like that lightness in her.
Mhm.
She's, I think, a typical, very successful executive in that everything is fast.
Mhm.
So I had to slow her down.
Mhm.
She
Mhm.
didn't know how to slow. She's like, oh, this is really beautiful. This is the sea, the mountains. Great. So chair facing the mountain, let her sit down, so like body relax, and then say, look at the mountains and what do you see? Okay, mountains, trees, green. So fine. Look again, and what else do you notice? Oh, I think there are different kind of green, right? Because shades of green. Great. What else do you see? Oh, I see a bit of barren rock in the mountain, What else do you see? And suddenly she realizes that in her daily communication, she misses out so much
Mhm.
details,
Mhm.
right? So when I have 2 days dedicated time with the executive, I can diagnose kind of like what area they need help in and instantly give them some intervention.
Mhm.
And so she was a satisfied customer when she left. And she said, I'm going to get my team to come to you as well. There's like 6 people in her core team. And then she went back, she encountered a lot of resistance. They were saying, we're so busy, right? We have no time to do this retreat development thing. So she had to work for 2 months to figure out a way, and her team reluctantly came 2 days out of their busy work. But I just used the PERMA model to help them have dialogue with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I designed the questions and let them go through just in paired. For example, for positive emotions, I say, what brings you joy or happiness at work? What are the most common positive emotions that you experience?
Mm-hmm.
How often are you experiencing them? This, like, I gave them coaching questions so that they can coach each other.
Mm-hmm.
So when they go through the PERMA questions, I was amazed in the response, because 2 of the more junior team members said, they opened up, they said, do you know that I was ready to resign? You know, after this busy period, I had already planned to resign.
That's
I
the
just,
attrition that she's fighting. I'm sorry to interrupt. That's the attrition that she's been trying to fight. And it was
yeah,
right in front of her.
they were saying, like, now I realize that it's the meaning, I need to know the daily grind means something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's building my skills. And this is where the leaders don't know how to connect
Mm-hmm.
the daily, the work with what's the strengths, or building strengths, or create meaning for the people who are in that adversity, to say, hey, this is building whatever strengths that you need for your future. So you have 2 people who were going to resign, decided that, I see a future here. And another one who was really stuck,
Mm-hmm.
right? And suddenly that person realizes why I'm stuck and how I can get unstuck.
Yeah.
So that's really what I've been doing.
I'm going to put up the sign again. You've been doing this design your life through this immersive 2-day personal retreat approach with lots of deep discussion on mountains and ocean, as well as all the components of the PERMA
Yeah.
model and turmeric. So,
Turmeric latte is very important. Yeah. The most important part, I think, is, like, I gave you 2 examples. One is more like all executives,
yes.
but one is more about individuals. She wanted to chart her life in terms of career and life. And the other one really was in the leadership context. How I built a team, and really, really numbers, right? Attrition rate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That really impact the business.
And then furthermore, what you said at the beginning, your second executive did not want to come, did not want to take the 2 days for herself, never mind that the team didn't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most important thing is the mistake that a lot of high-powered leaders make is, like, this person, if she does not flourish herself, there's no way she can keep the team, because they look up to their boss,
Mm-hmm.
right? And say, she's struggling. I don't want a life like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the reason why we really need to, as executives, we must have this personal retreat and recalibrate your life,
Yeah.
If you can do it every year, that's the best. But if you can't, give yourself that every 2 years.
So every couple of years, take the time, whether it's 2 days or something else, but actually, if I'm understanding right, look through a big view on what's going on in your life and where you want it to go.
Mhm.
Yeah. You make it sound so simple. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Go for it. So I have asked you this before before the program, but what if people can't get to you? What if people can't get to Taiwan? How can they really? I mean, just the mountains, the ocean, the turmeric latte. I mean, really, how I'm really asking
I know. This is like I started this before COVID, right? Before the pandemic. And then I realized, oh, people can't travel. But I think in it's still possible because I do a lot of coaching with clients in China, in Hong Kong. It's more about I need to give them more assignments to do.
I
Okay.
see. So it's possible
Right.
to do it virtually, but there's more that they do between the sessions or their own observation experience. Is that right? I
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I talk about nature, I will give you assignments that you need to do in your own park around,
I can
in your,
walk out and stand in the soil. It rained today in California. I can go stand barefoot in the soil. I can do it, Ming. I can.
you can. I will tell you, I can teach you about mindfulness. You just go to the park, go as low as you can, the closest to the grass, right? And pay attention to the shape of each blade. And then notice how many kinds of grass is in that area, right? That immediately focuses your mind being mindful at that moment.
Yeah.
The grass will never be the same again to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if you look at it from above, next time you will remember what it looked like
Yeah.
at that level.
So I really love, I think we need to do, be how should I say, we need to accept our environment as it is right now. Even if pandemic is over, I think life will change, our environment will change. And so we need to build that skills to look inward. And then if you believe that you can create a life or create the you that you want to live, and then you can start, you would dare to think that I can also create a community,
Mhm.
right? That I want to live in, that I want my children to live in.
Mhm.
So I think even if it's online, virtually, it can still work. Of course, not as great as when you come here on your own. And so when the pandemic is over, I invite you to come to Taiwan, come and have this retreat with me.
Yes.
Okay? But in the meantime, we'll do virtual sessions.
Virtual grass watching and other things. And other things.
Yes.
Ming, if people have never, I'll ask
Mhm.
usually our last three questions in conclusion. If people have never heard of this kind of thing, which I had not before I spoke to you, and I've done executive coaching for many years, but this specific approach and with the mountains and what else do you see and what else do you see and the methodical nature of even digging into the perma, it's different. It's just you can't do this in a 1 hour session. If people don't know anything about this, how would you summarize this idea for people, this design your life personal retreat approach?
You're worth it. Okay. So it is a approach that's based on scientific positive psychology approach, and it's methodical. It's great for people who are logical, who needs a methodology, and but it's done in a way that is very light-hearted, but then at the same time, it goes really deep. Because what we are looking at is what are all the great things, the positive things about you, and how do we package it in a way that integrate your work and your life. So that is the foundation to flourishing and thriving.
I want to hop right into the Pacific Ocean on one side, into the mountains on the other. And then our concluding two questions. What, for the people who have been with us as we've been talking about this, what is one thought you would like to leave them with?
The pandemic has really changed us. I think what we can do really is extend just a hello, reach out, just talk to people, connect. This is the time we really need to connect with people. Other people matters.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then my concluding question for you, if you could snap your fingers and almost everyone were to take some action, what action would you want that to be?
Say hello to a stranger.
Even now, as we're wearing masks and walking down the street, say hello to a stranger.
That's even more important because we can't see them, right? And so you really need, and not many of us have really great smile that goes all the way to your eyes. So you need the voice. I tend to smile. And then I realized that I don't know if my smile actually reaches another person because I'm wearing a mask. So then you use the voice. Voice is emotional. It's powerful.
So if you could snap your fingers, you would say, everyone, go out, and tomorrow when you're walking, say hello to a stranger.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Ming, thank you so very much. Thank you for being with us. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senya, for having giving me the opportunity to share with you and also to the wider our audience here about what I do.
Love it. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.